Look, I don't feel sorry for you if you're not getting any rain. We've had too much, and that can be just as bad. Yeah, you heard me right. Too much rain can be just as bad as no rain at all. And when you get too much, yeah, you guessed it, you get fungus as well. And that is what I am going through right now. While a lot of you are just drought stricken and super hot, yeah, well, it's still cool, cloudy, and rainy here. But we have gotten a slight break from the rain, and I want to talk about what we do, about what happens when you just get too much of it and fungus starts setting in. We will call this kind of the third edition of a trilogy here on Budget Lawns. Two of my more recent videos been all about how to water properly and what to do if you have hot, dry conditions headed your way. Well, let's talk about what to do if your lawn is just covered in fungus and disease. So there are two things we can do about that. First, we can prevent it, and if we don't do that, we can treat it. And we can do that one of two ways. The first way is we can do it with fungicides or antifungal products. This is not the route I prefer to take, but a lot of folks like to treat with those to prevent any fungus from setting in the first place, or if they don't get it down beforehand, they treat with it afterwards to get rid of a fungus. Now, when you're using these products, predominantly two active ingredients, propiconazole or azoxystrobin, you just want to read the label on whichever product you choose, because whether you're using it for, a preventative or a treatment, they are used by different rates, so make sure you pay attention to that. And that's one way to go. But if you're like me, I do not like pumping chemicals all over my lawn. It's just not my preferred approach to lawn care. Not saying that's bad, it's just what works best for you, as we talk about here on Budget Lawns all the time. Instead, I like to just kind of let nature run its course and do its own thing, whichever way that may go, for the good or the bad. So let's talk about what I do naturally to either prevent fungus or treat it if I get it. Now, I want you to keep in mind, because some of you will say, well, that's easier said than done for you because you have Bermuda grass. And that's true. Bermuda grass is an aggressive spreader by rhizomes and stolons. So if disease does take over parts of my lawn, I can get it to recover and heal itself a lot faster than, say, folks that have cool season turf like tall fescue, or even a warm season turf like St. Augustine, which is a little bit more prone to disease damage than other warm season turfs. But still, that doesn't change how I'm going to treat my lawn naturally to prevent or cure a fungus that has set in. So first off, let's talk about ways that we can prevent fungus in our lawns without using chemicals. Well, first, we just do everything that we talk about here all the time on the channel. Your cultural practices are the number one key to making sure you get your grass strong enough to prevent disease in the first place. So you want to make sure you're mowing frequently. And part of that is always making sure you have a sharp blade to make sure that grass is getting the cleanest cut possible and not opening up those blades to allow disease spores to get in and infect it and cause a problem. So you want to make sure you're mowing frequently with a sharp blade. Number two, you want to make sure you are watering properly and not watering too much, and along with that, watering at the right time of day. And as I mentioned, part of this other trilogy is a video I did all about watering correctly. I'll leave it linked down below, along with that other video about if you got hot, dry conditions coming. I'll leave both of those down below so you can get caught up. But that's number two, water your lawn correctly. That will go a long way in making sure you're not promoting the conditions that will allow disease to really thrive. And number three, fertilizing regularly. Now, part of that is not fertilizing too much or fertilizing too little. Both of those can, believe it or not, help the spread of fungus if you do happen to get patches of it in your lawn. So we really didn't approach anything new there, did we? We just talked about our three main cultural practices: mow a lot, water properly, and fertilize regularly. And those three things will strengthen your turf enough to make sure it is resistant to diseases and fungus to a certain extent. Now, sometimes if you're like me, you do all those things right and you just get weeks, not days, but weeks of rainfall like I have had, and there's nothing you can do about it. I'm telling you folks, we have had, no exaggeration, I'm emptying a half an inch to an inch or more out of the rain gauge every other day or so, and the lawn is just staying too wet under cloudy skies with not enough sunshine to let it dry out. And the fungus, well, it just does its thing. You see it here? See these lines? Yeah, see this little circle here? That's a fungus for you. Now, I am not here to be the expert on fungus identification. I'm sure some of this might be brown patch. I've got some dollar spot along with my spring dead spots that are already in place. And it's just the nature of the beast if you choose not to use preventative fungicides to keep them from showing up in the first place. Here's another one. See this line here? These are my spring dead spots. I've talked about those in other videos. You can go back and check those out. Now, I have used a fungicide one time in the fall, which was last fall, to try to prevent as much spring dead spot as possible. Now, that's a disease that sets in the fall and you don't know you have it until spring green up, and areas of your lawn just don't green up like those didn't. It's not the fungus that kills those spots, it's the cold, harsh temperatures, freezes, snow in the winter that just, harm the grass, and they don't come back in the springtime. And we had an exceptionally cold with record-breaking temperatures winter this past winter, which would be a big reason why I had some spring dead spots, even though I applied a fungicide. But that's the only time I've applied a fungicide. That front lawn is in much worse shape than the back lawn. And I'll tell you why I think so, because that is predominantly cheap, nasty, builder's grade, common Bermuda, where back here I have a better quality hybrid Bermuda, and I just don't suffer from spring dead spot or disease as much back here. It's a little bit healthier, but even as in much better shape that this side of the lawn is in with all the rain, I still did suffer some areas back here where I saw some disease. It's still wet, so I plan on getting a mow in. But I want it to dry out another day because I haven't had a dry mow, and gosh, it's been maybe a month or so now. But still, a few areas back here where we've got some disease. There's areas there. Now, my areas that are prone to really pooling up, these are kind of coming back, but these areas sat underwater a lot longer than usual. And if you look down deep into it, I think I actually had some rot setting in here because we had standing water for so long. But a little bit of sunshine yesterday and some warmer temperatures, that's just how Bermuda can fight back so quickly. So you may wonder, what am I going to do to treat or eliminate these areas from my lawn? Well, naturally, I'm going to do it naturally. Again, no fungicide. I am just going to, when the rain goes away, I am going to let this lawn dry out to the max, almost past the point to where it needs to be watered. And I'm just going to eliminate the conditions where these fungus conditions are thriving, let it dry out, mow it like crazy, mow all that fungus out of the lawn, and this Bermuda will spread and start taking over, and these areas will be healed so quickly. And that is just my preferred approach to taking care of fungus. And again, a lot of that is directly related to the fact that I have Bermuda grass, and it will just, you know, take care of itself, and there's not as much that I have to do with it that some of you may have to if you have other cool season turfs or warm season turf like St. Augustine. And that's it, folks. It's that simple. Let it dry out, mow all the fungus out, make sure you water correctly. There you go. Any fungus you've got, it will be gone in no time. Well, that's all I have for you on fungus control in your lawn. I hope that helps you out a little bit. If it did, leave me a thumbs up and a comment below. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you already have, you know how much I appreciate you. That's going to do it for this edition. I hope you will join me next time.